Hi everybody, welcome to CAT TV's and the Bennington Area Chamber of Commerce kind of post-election show. The polls have just closed up here at the Bennington Fire Station. I'm Matt Harrington, I'm the Executive Director here at the Bennington Chamber. We did this in March and we got invited back to do this post-show. Hopefully you're tuning in all over Bennington and the area. Of course, you can tune in on Facebook as well, on our page, as well as going over to catamountaccess.com. So there are multiple ways for you to tune in. Eventually, Cassie, our town clerk, will come in and give us our election results here in Bennington County. We should know results later, but we're here right now to kind of get a general feel of how Election Day went here. It's an historic Election Day as we are voting in new governors, new lieutenant governors, and there are some seats open for our senators as well. So, Michael, you're joining us as well. Welcome to the show here.
Thank you. I'm going to get this mic a little closer so people can hear me.
Yes.
But
Michael with CAT TV, thank you again for hosting another great post-election show.
Yes, we're happy to be here.
I'm
on a little cord here. Let me get that. There we go. Excellent.
So as we're pulling this all together, we're going to have a slew of guests to join us, local people, local stakeholders, and people from the town and our select board, just to kind of give us a general feel about how Election Day went.
Absolutely.
From everything from the mechanics of the polling, but really I think the bigger question that we want to get before Cassie comes on, our town clerk, is kind of what does Election Day mean to them, and what does it mean to us here? I think no matter who you voted for, it's such an example of American diplomacy and being a democratic.
Absolutely. It's a privilege to vote.
Yes.
A lot of people think, it's a great privilege to have, and especially this year being such a historic election season, but we're also really excited for the local results as well for governor and right here in Bennington County as well.
Sure. We should point out also, please go over to the Facebook page.
Yes.
You guys are streaming live.
We are
but
live.
We're also looking at comments. That's why my computer screen is open here, and we're going to be looking at comments. So as we're going live, feel free. This is the new age of social media.
That's right.
And so we want you to be participating, providing commentary. And I think the big question, and I'll ask all our guests on today, but really is, what does Election Day mean to you?
It's true.
Regardless of the party that you voted for, regardless of who you voted for, hopefully you got out to vote.
Yes.
And what does that mean to you as an American?
Absolutely. It's a good question to ask, and it's a loaded question too, I think.
We'll see what we can get from people,
absolutely.
right?
So let's move along, as we say. And for all of you, just letting you know, you can tune in here on channel 17. We're also live on our website for CAT TV, and we're also live on our Facebook page, as Matt has up on his laptop. He is multitasking here, and feel free to leave any comments. And I'm going to turn this over and get our first guest rolling. He's right over here, and he needs no introduction, but here he comes. Let me get the microphone cable fixed for you. There you are.
So joining us right now, we have Stu Hurd, who is the town manager of Bennington. And Stu, welcome to the show. Always a pleasure to have you on here. And I guess, let's start with the question that we are asking on Facebook, and we are asking our audience now. What does Election Day mean to you?
Well, especially this Election Day. I mean, in Vermont, we have two election days. There's Town Meeting Day, which is very localized, very important to the community, and then there's the national election. This is an incredibly important day for the country. Obviously, with the candidates that we have locally running for office, most of them unopposed, it's not a big deal. I think Bennington is well represented. The fact that we don't have a lot of candidates opposing others, I think speaks well to the job that they're doing for us. But at the national level, this is a tremendously important election, and it's going to be really interesting to see how it plays out.
Do you think Vermont can swing the vote for the national?
Vermont's already counted, and it's not going to swing the vote with 3 electoral votes.
Sure. So let's shift a little bit from national to local. We have you here. You did a great job kind of updating us on what the town's been working on. Obviously, we know that you just unveiled the citizen survey, which was big for you guys today. There was a presence all day long. We were here earlier, and there was probably 10 laptops set up, and people were filling out that survey. So give us an update of where you're at in terms of the town, your vision of kind of 2017, but also talk to us a little bit about the survey.
Well, first let me say that the SVSU actually loaned us the laptops that you had at the counters today. Very nice gesture on their part. We had town staff manning the computers and helping people out where they needed help. At about 4:30 this afternoon, we'd already had 250 participants in the town survey, which I think is really pretty good considering it is our first, and we understand that from a governmental perspective we are going to be measured by how well we've done. The questions certainly tend towards that way. We look at police, we look at recreation, we look at the town as a whole, we look at town government. So it'll be interesting to see how those results run. And from our perspective, I think we're going to take this information. We're going to take the information we received from the business survey that was done last year, and that's going to become part of our, whether you call it a balanced scorecard, which is the industrial term, or whether it becomes the Bennington report card in the annual report. And we'll start building a baseline and say, this is where we are today, and next year, and next year, and next year. So in that sense, we're going to have a way to measure how well we're doing.
And I think viewers need to understand kind of how progressive that is. When we talk municipalities, when we talk bureaucracy and politics, I mean, I think Bennington is really setting a tone, as you kind of mentioned, the scorecard or the report card, of saying, look, we're comfortable being held accountable, and we're going to measure those things, and it's a good use of our time to do those types of things, because we can only progress as a town, as citizens, if we know how we're doing. And so I think it's very progressive and bold of the town of Bennington to kind of put yourselves out there and say, yeah, we're going to survey ourselves.
Well, thank you. I tend to agree with you.
Yeah.
I think it is somewhat concerning to lay yourself out there and say, okay, how are we doing, folks? And if everybody comes up and says, well, we're awful, then that gives us a message that we might not read when we talk to the people we deal with, because every time you deal with a particular customer, they walk away with a feeling about how well that you've done and how well you've answered their concerns. Maybe you didn't agree with them, but certainly you at least listened to them and answered their concerns. And so it'll be interesting, I think, from that perspective, to understand all of these people that we don't necessarily deal with on a daily basis. How do they feel about where we are and where we're heading?
What are some of the, what were some of the key questions on that survey that you're looking to really garner some input on, and probably you have a good feel already of where there are some areas that you'd like to focus on moving forward?
Well, if you look at the majority of questions, they focused a lot on recreation and what we have to offer, police and how we're performing, and then municipal government and how overall it's performing. And there were smaller breakdowns that will be very helpful to us when we look at the ultimate results. But I think it will be very, very interesting to me to see how the people feel about those major fields. Not everybody participates in the recreational opportunities that are available here. So many people may not even know all of what we offer. Certainly most people have a feeling for, I think, what the police department is doing and doing well, because that's played out in the news pretty much on a regular basis. And then
to our benefit and sometimes to our dismay, but it all comes together.
Yeah, both sides.
Yeah.
And then I think the deeper thing for me is, how do people feel overall about town government?
Yeah.
Are we responsive enough to their concerns? Are we open enough to their concerns? And there were a number of questions about the select board and how it's doing. And so, we're all going to gain some I think, very, very interesting insights into how people view what we do. And that's could be exhilarating, and it could be pretty scary.
As we kind of look, we're in November. We're kind of putting a cap on 2016. As you look into 2017 and probably even beyond that, what kind of excites you as town manager in terms of what you're seeing as being very progressive or evolving in the town?
Well, from my perspective, and I've been dealing with this in pretty heavy detail over the last several days, obviously the PFOA crisis is something that this town is going to be dealing with probably for at least the next year, possibly two. We still don't have resolution about how we're going to do what we need to do, which is extend municipal water systems to all of the impacted homes. And there are some impacted homes that they're really outliers. They're really way out away from where normally you would think to run water. And then the question ultimately, is that the ultimate solution? So we've got a lot of work to do on that. Unfortunately, as of today, we don't have a commitment from St. Gobain. We are in a sense struggling with a commitment from the state. I think they know that St. Gobain is the party. They want us to get there, but from the local perspective, from the guy who's trying to make sure that everybody is handled, I'm not sure I'm where I want to be. There's still too many unanswered questions. And then you pile on that the situation at the wastewater treatment facility. Probably by 2018, if we're not looking at a major bond vote to upgrade that facility, which is now 31 years old, then I've not done my job. And we're also looking at a new public works facility, which was on track in 2010. And only thanks to Tropical Storm Irene did that get pushed on to the back burner. And Tropical Storm Irene, still we face a $1.3 million payment of debt we incurred to deal with that. So, I mean, I'm speaking now as kind of the operational aspects and the financial aspects that impact the community. We've got a ton of work ahead of us. And I suspect that 2017 we'll see some answers to all of those questions, and we'll have a better direction of where we're going. But frankly, as I stand here now and talk with you, I really don't have a feel as to how big this is going to be and how well the community is going to be receptive to the things that we're going to be putting before them. So
it's challenging. But I think, what I always notice when we do Election Day here, this is a great time that the town of Bennington gets to show its strength as a staff. And so, I think a kudos goes out to all the staff members. And they're still counting right now. And obviously, Town Clerk Cassandra is going to come on later on to give us the results. But what a testimony to, I think you've got, we do have some challenges moving forward, but you've got really a great staff in Assistant Manager Dan Monks and Michael Harrington and the crew that kind of lays the groundwork, and so you are very fortunate.
There's no question about
exciting.
that. I think, I would put the town staff up against any staff throughout the state of Vermont. We do with 26 sworn police officers what Rutland City's trying to do with 40.
Yeah.
Same population, totally different scenario. Where we run a $3 million police budget, Rutland City's running $5.5 million. So people should understand that in Bennington, we do a really good job with a lot less.
With a lot less. I think that's the key there.
I heard the stories about some of the folks who were working with the citizen survey today, about some of the people they were able to help through it, that other people came to them and asked for help actually in voting. Those kinds of stories they're heartwarming. And they're interesting, and I think it speaks well for the staff of the town. I mean, I am blessed with a staff, top to bottom, of incredibly dedicated people, and the people of Bennington need to know we've done well in that regard.
If you're just joining us, this is our post-election show. We're here with Stu Bird, the town manager. If you're watching this, you can watch it on Facebook. You can watch it on Channel 17 over at Public Access, over at www.catamountaccess.com, where we have some people commenting on our live stream right now. Lindy Lynch is here in New York City, but she is watching. We have Amanda Shaker here with you. Justine Curry, she says, hey guys. So we want to say hi to Justine as well. So keep those comments coming if you have questions. The question we're posing is, what does Election Day mean to you? So answer in our comment feed, what does Election Day nationally, but also what does Election Day in Bennington mean to you as well? And so we want to hear from you guys, and we'll read those comments as we progress. We're all kind of waiting and holding on till our town clerk comes and reads our results. So this is our post-polling show, and like I said, we have with us Stu Hurd. Stu, any other final comments that you want to add? It's Election Day. It's always an exciting day here. Thank you to the Firehouse for hosting us here, and over at the North Bennington train station, the depot there. Thank you for them also for hosting.
Yes, and I think, opening municipal facilities for this kind of an activity is really a wonderful thing. There's a part of me that always says it would be great if this were not a garage facility for fire equipment, but it handles the crowds, and I was here early this morning just before 8 o'clock. Couldn't find a parking space in the lot, which means we were really busy, and everything seemed to be going smoothly, and that's hats off to Cassandra Barlow and her staff for running a really good election. And looking back, I mean, I've been with the town for 43 years. Most of those years, it was Tim Corcoran who was operating the elections, and Tim did a very, very good job, and he had a lot of good people working for him. And it's nice to see that kind of seamless transition into the new guard, doing well and doing the same thing and accomplishing a very smooth and I think well-run election, and that's really key. Going beyond that, when I think, without betraying any thoughts about how I may or may not have voted, I think this national election is almost beyond the pale in its importance to the country itself.
I think we all agree on that. Okay, so we are going to call on Chair Selectman Tom Jacobs over there. I think he's checking his mobile device to make sure he's winning, but he doesn't know that he's not up for election this year. So he's all set. Okay. So we are actually going to go to Tom Jacobs very quickly, but word has it that Cassandra's going to come over in the next 2 minutes. We've actually done a very good job stalling here for her. I'm going to pass that off to Tom. And he's taking the citizen survey as we speak right now, so he's multitasking.
There you go. Don't forget, this is the highlight. Thank you.
So how do we get to the citizen survey? You have the card right there, Tom.
Right.
It's Bennington.com/surveys. So Bennington.com/surveys. Thank you for joining us.
My pleasure.
On the election day. So we've been asking the question, what does election day mean to you? So I pose you the question, what does election day mean to you?
It's when we celebrate our freedom, when the opportunity to see democracy in action. When you look around the country, the state, see the folks lined up at the polls, that's what makes you feel this is what it's all about.
Yeah, there really is an excitement. I think, you and I have been here for many years now, kind of coming in and just really between the voting process, the people greeting you at the door, the people outside the door with their signs, all the way over to coffee, donuts, and everything afterwards. It really is a great celebration, and Bennington always likes to kind of put some fanfare behind that, and so it's always exciting.
It's good. In fact, my now 5-year-old granddaughter is celebrating tonight because she went with her mother to the polls, and she was like telling me who she's for and who she's not for. So I got the whole.
Those 6-year-olds, they're much more vocal than I think we're all willing to be.
Exactly,
right?
I'm much impressed, and I guess we're going to get some results coming in here right in this as Cassie's starting to make her way over.
She's going to speak to that mic, and so we're going
I'm
to
gonna-
phase out.
We're going to be
Thank you,
looking for it. Okay,
Chair
great day.
Selectman Tom Jacobs for
and
joining
looking
us.
for another great year.
And Cassandra, our town clerk, is going to join
Thanks,
us right
Cassie.
now with the election results.
Good to see you. Here you go.
Thank you.
All right.
All right, I'd like to just remind everybody to please shut off or put onto vibrate any cell phones. Do we have the sound on okay? All right. So here we are. These are the election results, unofficial election results from the machine only. There are, as you can imagine, a lot of write-ins. I don't necessarily think it's going to make any difference in the unofficial results, but we will be here for a while counting those write-ins. So again, this is the unofficial results from the machines. It does include North Bennington polling place as well. So here we go. For President, Clinton and Kane, 3361. De La Fuente and Steenberg, 22. Johnson and Weld, 155. LaRiva and Puryear, 8. Stein and Baraka, 147. Trump and Pence, 1949. For U.S. Senator, Peter Diamondstone, 77. Chris Erickson, 338. Patrick Leahy, 3751. Scott Milne, 1654. Jerry Trudell, 157. For Representative to Congress, Erica Clausen, 625. Peter Welch, 4946. For Governor, Bill Spaceman Lee, 243. Sue Minter, 3117. Phil Scott, 2646. For Lieutenant Governor, Randy Brock, 2213. Boots Wardinsky, 230. David Zuckerman, 3278. For State Treasurer, Murray Nagoima, 255. Beth Pierce, 4264. Don Schramm, 834. For Secretary of State, James Kondos, 4558. Mary Alice Mal Herbert, 766. For Auditor of Accounts, Marina Brown, 416. Dan Feliciano, 1996. Doug Hoffer, 2702. For Attorney General, Deborah Deb Bucknam, 1710. T.J. Donovan, 3044. Rosemarie Jakowski, 926. For State Senator, 2 to be elected. Brian Campion, 4131. Dick Sears, 4517. For State Representative, District 2-1, 2 to be elected. Tim Corcoran II, 2316. Rachel Fields, 1870. For State Rep, District 2-2, 2 to be elected. Kaya Morris, 1757. Mary Morrissey, 2143. For High Bailiff, Frederick Gilbar, 4856. For Justice of the Peace, 15 to be elected. And I do have the final counts on that so that I will be able to announce the 15 winners. Sue Beal, 2502. Shannon Bean, 2634. Barbara Bluto, 2771. Marlene Driscoll, 2475. Debbie Giroux, 2847. James Gully Sr., 2640. Tom Haley, 2096. Michelle Hogan, 2901. Charles Kokoris, 1320. Albert Krozik, 2410. Bruce Lonergan, 1417. Brian Maroney Jr., 2624. James Marsden, 2681. Ann Mook, 3211. Mary Morrissey, 3488. Eugenie Jeannie Rayner, 1294. Marjorie Robinson, 2132. John Santarcangelo, 2187. Aaron Sawyer, 1689. David Schaff, 2261. Anna Kinney Swirad, 1768. Gabe White, 1429. And the 15 elected, I'm just going to read them in alphabetical order since that's how they appeared on the ballot. The winners are Susan Beal, Shannon Bean, Barbara Bluto, Marlene Driscoll, Debbie Giroux, James Gully Sr., Michelle Hogan, Albert Krozik, Brian Maroney Jr., James Marsden, Ann Mook, Mary Morrissey, Marjorie Robinson, John Santarcangelo, and David Schaff. Thank you all. Good night.
So, ladies and gentlemen, that's the results here in Bennington County, as delivered by our town clerk,
Yes.
Cassie.
A lot
We want to thank
quicker
everybody.
than we expected.
Yes, yeah, but that's fine. I mean, that's kind of why we're here, is just to kind of
Yes.
create some fun. And it was a great time to talk to Stu a little bit
Yep.
about his
Yep.
moving forward and some real serious challenges moving forward. And so I think you
true.
did a good job letting people know and your audience know
Mm-hmm.
that you know, although I think Bennington's in a good place, I think we feel very good. As he said, there isn't a lot of contested seats here, which means that I
Right.
think the people in their seats are doing very well. There is still a lot of challenge moving forward, specifically around the PFOA issue and the pipe, the water pipeline.
As we
well.
hear about that at all the select board
Yes,
meetings. But
you and me both.
yes,
but
but it's
I
good
think-
for the public to hear that too if
Yeah.
they haven't already.
And
So,
really, again, the question that we posed, and we posed to everybody that came on, was really, what does Election Day mean to you? And so I think, you know, barring that there are challenges, and barring that there are people, you know, that got elected, and there were people that didn't get elected, and we'll know probably more tomorrow about
Absolutely.
the governor race,
Yes.
the lieutenant governor race.
we could be here all night if they want. We wanted to wait for them to count
We
all the
could.
paper ballots for the official results.
We
but
could, Michael.
I don't think we can stand that long.
But we're not going to.
We're not, unfortunately.
But we do appreciate Cat TV hosting again.
Yes,
On
happy to do it.
Facebook, Channel 17, more at www.catamountaccess.com.
This is our first Facebook live stream out in the field. We're also going to be on Facebook Live for the Veterans Day Parade on Friday, as well as the channel as well.
Right, and we should give a shout out because we are trying to encourage kind of that social debate going on, or social commentary. So we want to thank, you know, Amanda Shaker talked a lot about women's rights and her ability to vote as a woman.
Awesome.
As being a proud moment
Absolutely.
for her.
Yeah, absolutely.
Kimberly Morgan Burke said here and listening. So again, we want to give due shout outs to those people
Thank
that
you
that
all
are
for tuning in.
interacting with us.
Yeah, and thank you to the guests as well. We had a few more lined up, but results came in much quicker than we thought.
Yep.
But thank you to Stu and Tom, and we had a few lined up, and you know we'll tune into March voting day.
Yes.
Obviously, that's a little more local and more affected for us, but we'll be here again in March.
Another
for town meeting
historic
day.
voting day today, as Stu mentioned,
Yes.
and so thank you for tuning in. Thank you for
Yes.
taking the time
Absolutely.
to vote. Hopefully you voted today, and tuning in to Cat TV's broadcast of the post-election results
Yes.
show.
Thank you for coming on board, Matt.
Absolutely. Very good.
And I love your tie, by the way.
Thank
we
you.
have to
This
mention
is a
his
Vermont tie. and
His
so we have
Vermont
to
tie.
give, this is, get a close-up of
Yeah,
that.
there you
That's
go.
From,
Get that out
my
there.
godmother, Judy
Yes.
Pennick.
It's a beautiful
And
tie.
so on Election Day, I always like to represent the state I was born in.
It's a great tie. And thank you all for tuning in. And we will see you later. Have a good night, everyone.
Have a good night.